What's your favorite programming language? I know what you're saying. Hey, where's the tutorials? Well, I've been busy. It's coming. I'm not lazy. But anyway, it's my birthday, so today we're just chatting. How's it going? Hey, what's up? Skinned. Good band. Tyler Hadley. Good song. So, to the content. What's your favorite programming language? When John Carmack made a keynote in, I think it was 2011, when he produced the world's best game ever, Rage, he said that if it was possible, he would like to use Ada for programming because he felt that it had more type safety. Okay, so even though C++ is dominant industry standard, you don't have to use it. So what's your favorite programming language? Bit of history. I started out in GameMaker. That was my first programming experience. I used GML, GameMaker language. Pretty similar to Python in the sense that variables have a vague sort of scope and they can change types dynamically, which made it okay for scripting, not so good for performance. I then moved on to Python, found it pretty similar to GML. Did some work in some basic sort of SDL, Pygame sort of stuff. Moved on to Java and started dipping my toes in C++. Then took a massive break, which I regret. I should have kept programming, but you know how it is. Sometimes life gets in the way. Did I say it was my birthday? It's reflections, moment for reflections. I then went back into the coding and progressed with Java, C#, found they were pretty similar, they're basically the same language, and then C and a bunch of other things. You know, you always, assembly as well, you know, you always dabble around, do a few things. But if I had to talk about the features which I like in a language, performance, of course. So my ideal language would have to be compiled just to get that sort of performance class. Doesn't particularly matter which type, most of them are good. I did Fortran as well. Yeah, I did Fortran before I took a break. I actually dislike Fortran. The reason for disliking Fortran, even though it's compiled, is that it is too specific. So compiled and also general purpose. For instance, with Fortran, there's just too many like quantifiers and weird bits of syntax. It's too nuanced. I dislike it. So there's that. My final criteria is the language has to kind of give me a feel for the underlying zeros and ones. Maybe that's just my thing. I don't know. But I need to have a feeling that, like, yeah, if this is an integer, how many bits are representing the integer? That's just, I need that. If it's a pointer, if it's a reference to a thing, then how many bits are representing that pointer? I need that. Oh, and explicit heap or stack. Kind of, I have to be able to get a feel for whether something is being allocated on the heap or the stack. I dislike languages where I have to guess that. So all of that, all up, my ideal programming language would probably be C. Now I know, hey, C++ is the industry standard, and I use C++. So why C? Well, it's very simple. Do we use C++ because C++ has object-oriented programming and C doesn't? Well, I don't even understand this idea that C doesn't support object-oriented programming. Because what is object-oriented programming? We make some data, okay? And then we create a class, and a class has functions. But where do the functions get stored? Well, in C++, they build up a vector table, which is basically saying, look here for this function. And that vector table goes, you know, at the start or the end of the code, somewhere. And actually, if you look at Python, the way Python does object-oriented programming, it actually makes it clearer how C could do object-oriented programming. Because with Python, they explicitly pass in the pointer to the thing that's being worked on in the function call. And that's basically how C could do it, right? You have a struct, okay, so you got data. Then you have a bunch of functions which take the pointer to the struct as their first argument, like that. That is, unless I'm missing something, that is what C++ does in object-oriented programming. So I don't understand this idea that like C++ is doing something special that C isn't. If anything, C++ is like C with a bunch of macros. I mean, I'm not an expert, but tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, a lot of this stuff can be implemented in C. And because C does not hide details about how it's implemented, it makes it a little less error-prone, I want to say. I'm not saying C is perfect. I've had many weird esoteric errors, but from an intellectual purity standpoint, C is basically computer science. If you know how to do C, you have a computer science degree, more or less. This is verging on rambling, but the reason I use C++ instead of C is not because of object-oriented programming. That's what I'm saying. The reason I use C++ is that it supports operator overloading. So I can add matrices, I can multiply matrices, and that's well defined. Which I'm not saying we couldn't do in C, but it's just I'm too lazy to do it. And as I say that, I'm thinking of project ideas, but that was my long-winded response. So what's your favorite programming language? Let me know in the comment. What is it? Thanks for chilling. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it's entertaining, and I will see you again soon. Maybe with some real tutorials. Okay, see ya. Bye.